You finally did it! After years of grinding, sacrificing, and saying no when everyone else was saying yes, you hit $100,000 in savings. That's a huge milestone, and you should be proud of it. But here's the part nobody tells you. This isn't the finish line. What you do next will decide whether that $100,000 quietly turns into $1 million, or whether you're still staring at the same number 5 years from now, wondering what went wrong.
Chapter 1. Why the first $100,000 is the hardest. There's a reason so many experienced investors say the first $100,000 is the most difficult money you'll ever save. It's not because the math is hard, it's because everything is working against you at the beginning. When you're starting out, you're climbing uphill. Every dollar you save has to come from discipline, sacrifice, and behavior change. There's no momentum yet, no meaningful help from compounding. It's just you, your habits, and your ability to delay gratification. Early on, your money isn't doing much for you. If you have $5,000 invested and the market returns 8%, that's $400 in a year. Helpful, but not life-changing. Even at $25,000, an average return still feels small compared to your effort. So most of the progress doesn't come from investing, it comes from you. You're learning how to live below your means. You're figuring out how to earn more without immediately spending more. You're building systems, automatic savings, consistent investing, smarter spending that didn't exist before. And that's exhausting. This is why the first $100,000 feels slow and frustrating. You're doing all the work, but the results don't seem proportional yet. You're planting seeds, but nothing has grown tall enough to give you shade. This is also why so many people quit right before things get easier. But once you cross that six-figure mark, something important changes. For the first time, your money starts to meaningfully participate. At $100,000, a normal market year can add $7,000 to $10,000 without you doing anything. That's more than most people save in a year when they're starting out. The growth becomes noticeable. The feedback loop tightens. You're no longer pushing the boulder alone. The boulder starts rolling with you. That's the moment momentum appears. The next $100,000 doesn't require the same level of sacrifice as the first. The habits are already built, the systems are already running, and now compounding finally has enough mass to matter. But, and this is critical, this only works if you don't sabotage yourself. Reaching $100,000 doesn't mean the game is won. It means the game has finally begun. What you do at this stage determines whether compounding becomes your ally or whether lifestyle inflation quietly resets the clock. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Chapter 2. The Silent Killer. Lifestyle Inflation. Hitting $100,000 changes how you see money. For the first time, you don't feel fragile. You're not panicking about every expense. You finally feel like you can breathe. And that's exactly when the danger shows up. Not in the form of bad investments, not in market crashes, but in something much quieter, lifestyle inflation. After years of discipline, your brain starts negotiating with you. You've earned this. You've sacrificed long enough. What's the point of saving if you never enjoy it? So you start upgrading. A nicer car, a bigger apartment, more expensive vacations, better clothes, more convenience. None of these choices feel reckless on their own. You can afford them. That's the trap. Because wealth is rarely destroyed by one big mistake, it's slowly suffocated by 100 small upgrades. Every dollar you redirect toward lifestyle is a dollar that stops compounding, and compounding is brutally sensitive to time. A single $10,000 purchase today doesn't just cost $10,000. Over 25 years, that same money could have become $80,000 or more. That's the real price tag, and it's invisible. This is why so many people look successful but never become wealthy. Their income rises, their net worth stalls. They win the salary game and lose the wealth game.
Truly wealthy people understand something uncomfortable. Just because you can afford something doesn't mean you should buy it. The hardest financial skill isn't learning how to earn more money, it's learning how not to upgrade your life every time your income goes up. This is what discipline looks like at the six-figure stage. In your early years, discipline means saying no because you have to. At $100,000, discipline means saying no even though you don't have to. That's the difference. People who reach $1 million don't suddenly change strategies, they simply refuse to let their spending grow at the same speed as their wealth. They keep their old car longer than feels comfortable. They resist upgrading their lifestyle just to signal success. They stay boring on purpose because they understand the trade-off. Every lifestyle upgrade today delays freedom tomorrow, and freedom is the real goal. Not the car, not the apartment, not the image. Freedom means options. Freedom means leverage over your time. Freedom means never being forced to say yes to something you hate. Lifestyle inflation quietly steals that future while pretending to reward you in the present. Which brings us to the next question. If you shouldn't spend it, what should you actually do with that $100,000? That's where the real strategy begins.
Chapter 3. What to do with your first $100,000. The correct order. Once you hit $100,000, the biggest risk isn't losing it overnight. The real risk is misallocating it. This is the stage where people either set themselves up for exponential growth or quietly stall for years without realizing why. So let's simplify this. There is an order that works, and deviating from it usually costs people a lot of time and money. Step 1. Eliminate high-interest debt immediately. If you're carrying credit card balances or personal loans with double-digit interest rates, this comes first, no debate. There is no investment on earth that reliably beats a guaranteed 15 to 20% return, and that's exactly what you get when you pay off high-interest debt. Trying to invest while carrying expensive debt is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. You're working hard, but the math is against you. Once that debt is gone, something powerful happens. Your cash flow improves instantly. Those payments don't disappear, they get redirected toward wealth building instead of damage control. Step 2. Lock in a proper emergency fund. Next, you protect the progress you've already made. At this stage, you want 3 to 6 months of living expenses sitting somewhere safe and boring. A high-yield savings account, not the stock market, not crypto, not something volatile. This money isn't there to grow, it's there to keep you from making bad decisions when life happens, because life will happen. A job loss, a medical bill, a family emergency. Without a buffer, those events can force you to sell investments at the worst possible time or go back into debt. An emergency fund isn't about fear, it's about stability. And stability is what allows you to stay invested long-term. Step 3. Keep your investing simple and consistent. This is where many people overthink and overtrade. Hitting $100,000 makes people feel like they need to get serious about investing. They start chasing hot stocks, timing the market, experimenting with complex strategies. That's usually how they lose money. The truth is boring and extremely effective. Low-cost index funds, broad market exposure, consistent contributions, long time horizon. You don't need to beat the market, you need to own it. Automate your investments, remove emotion, let time and compounding do what they're designed to do. Wealth is built through repetition, not brilliance. Step 4. Use tax-advantaged accounts first. Every dollar you don't pay in taxes is a dollar that compounds for decades. If you have access to a 401k match, prioritize it. That's an instant return, no risk, no effort. Then look at Roth IRAs or Roth 401ks if they fit your situation. Roth tax-free growth over 20 or 30 years is incredibly powerful. People obsess over returns and ignore taxes. That's a mistake. Taxes are one of the biggest drags on long-term wealth and one of the easiest to reduce legally. Step 5. Don't change the game just because the number is bigger. This is the most important rule. The habits that got you to $100,000 are the same habits that get you to $1 million. Automation, living below your means, long-term thinking, avoiding unnecessary debt, staying invested. The strategy doesn't change, only the scale does. People fail here because they assume success requires complexity. It doesn't. It requires consistency. Now that you know what to do with the money, there's one more thing that matters just as much as strategy: your time horizon. Because the biggest shift after $100,000 isn't financial, it's psychological. And that's what we're going to talk about next.
Chapter 4. The Mindset Shift, from Survival to Long-Term Thinking. Reaching $100,000 changes more than your bank balance. It changes the questions you should be asking. Before this point, your thinking is short-term by necessity. How do I cover rent this month? How do I save another $5,000 this year? How do I avoid going backward? That's survival mode. But once you cross 6 figures, staying in survival mode becomes a liability. This is where most people unknowingly sabotage themselves. They keep thinking in months when they should be thinking in decades. Wealth doesn't grow because of one perfect year. It grows because of thousands of boring, correct decisions stacked on top of each other over time. And time is now your biggest asset. At $100,000, compounding finally starts to matter, but only if you let it run. The mistake people make is constantly interrupting it. They jump in and out of investments. They react to headlines. They panic during downturns. They chase trends during booms. Every interruption resets the clock. Wealthy investors understand something most people don't. Volatility is the price you pay for long-term returns. Short-term discomfort is not a signal to act. It's the cost of admission. When markets drop, people in survival mode see danger. People in long-term mode see time working in their favor. This shift from protecting every dollar to letting dollars work is subtle, but it's everything. Another mental trap at this stage is impatience. You hit $100,000 and expect acceleration immediately. But compounding doesn't explode overnight. It creeps, then bends, then accelerates. The curve doesn't look impressive until years later, when most people have already given up or cashed out. That's why patience is not passive, it's an active skill. You're actively choosing not to interfere, not to optimize yourself into mistakes, not to confuse movement with progress. And here's the hardest part. As your net worth grows, comparison pressure intensifies. You'll see friends upgrading their lives faster than you. You'll see people online claiming huge wins. You'll feel behind, even when you're objectively doing well. This is where clarity becomes essential. You need to know what your money is for. Because without a clear long-term vision, you'll default to short-term gratification. Wealth is not about impressing anyone. It's about buying back control over your time. And that requires patience when patience feels boring. The people who reach $1 million didn't discover a secret strategy. They simply stayed invested, stayed disciplined, and stayed focused longer than everyone else. Which brings us to the final piece of this puzzle: confidence. Because hitting $100,000 proves something important, and most people don't fully internalize it. And that's exactly what we'll talk about in the conclusion.
Conclusion: $100,000 is the proof, not the prize. Reaching $100,000 is not an accident. It's proof.
proof that you can delay gratification, proof that you can build systems and stick to them, proof that you can earn, save, and keep money instead of letting it disappear. Most people never get here. But here's the part that matters most. $100,000 doesn't make you wealthy. It makes wealth possible. From this point forward, the game changes. You don't need smarter strategies. You don't need riskier bets. You don't need to do something big. You need to not mess this up. That means resisting lifestyle inflation, even when you feel entitled to it. It means keeping your investing boring and consistent. It means thinking in decades, not months. It means trusting compounding to do its job while you focus on living a meaningful life. The same habits that got you to $100,000 will get you to $500,000 and then to $1 million. The numbers grow, but the principles don't change. Wealth isn't about showing progress, it's about sustaining it. So celebrate this milestone. You've earned that. But don't get comfortable. Don't confuse confidence with complacency, because this is the stage where patience starts paying you back. Stay disciplined, stay focused, let time work in your favor. If this video helped you reframe what comes after $100,000, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who's serious about building real wealth, not just looking successful. This is just the beginning.